Welcome to the 2020 virtual Atlanta Journal-Constitution Decatur Book Festival presented by Emory University. I'm Patty Garrett, Mayor of the City of Decatur, and the City of Decatur is proud to support the book festival, and we are grateful for the support of the Decatur Education Foundation, this event's sponsor. The Decatur Education Foundation is well known for its investment in schools and families. DEF is a true community venture. Individuals and organizations contribute ideas, time, dollars, and expertise to support activities such as grants and scholarships for students, teacher innovation grants, mentoring programs, and more. The Decatur Education Foundation is also a loyal sponsor of children's programming for the book festival every year. So indeed, a special thank you to the Decatur Education Foundation for sponsoring the Kidnote event this year. Today's Kidnote features I Am Every Good Thing, presented by authors Derrick Barnes and Gordon C. James. The authors are here with moderator Jeffrey G. White, and we look forward to the conversation about this timely and uplifting picture book that celebrates Black boys everywhere. So welcome, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to the authors and the moderator. Thank you.
Good morning, how are you guys doing? My name is Jerry G. White, and I would like to welcome you to the 15th Annual AJC Decatur Book Festival, presented by Emory University. And this is our virtual edition. This is the second event for this year, because last night we had our keynote address. So this will be our keynote. So I'm very excited to be here. Normally we would have just ended the children's parade, but I played my drums just so you guys can remember how it is when we see each other again next year. So as you guys may have probably have known, this is a fantastic book, and the author and illustrator are equally fantastic. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a 40-minute conversation and dialogue, and then we're gonna have 50-minute questions. So I think we have Gordon C. James, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Good morning.
You can say hello to everyone from near and far.
Hi, everybody all over. Hi, Decatur Book Festival, and thank you, Emory University, for having us.
Yeah. So let's say we could see your artwork behind you. So do you consider yourself an illustrator or artist, or you just throw it into the whole pot and say, let's do this and make it right?
Well, I always try to live by the motto that you are what you do, not what you say you are. So right now I'm a whole lot more illustrator than fine artist, but I try to bring that fine art sensibility to my illustrations, and I try to keep it all the same.
Great job. All right. Now, you and Derrick Barnes, the author, I understand you guys have been friends for what, 20 years now?
Yeah, we met at Hallmark Cards, and Derrick is with us, by the way. I don't know if you.
Okay. Hey, Derrick, how are you?
Hey, everybody. Jerry, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, man. Good to see you. Which was under different circumstances, you know. Next year, man. Be back.
It's all good. Exactly. Yeah, so we're talking about your friendship with you and Gordon's friendship. So you guys known each other for what, 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years, man. You know, it was my first job. I'll let Gordon speak about his experience at Hallmark, but I got hired there in 99, right out of college. I graduated from Jackson State University with a bachelor's degree in marketing, and I was hired as the first Black man as a copywriter at Hallmark. Wow. And I had been at a HBCU for 4 years, so I was surrounded by Black excellence, man, every single day. So then I entered this corporate arena. And it was like, I felt like I was raising in a cup of milk, man. You know what I mean? Exactly. So I got up and went to the restaurant one day, and I saw this hip young dude walking around, muscles, he was bald. I said, there's another one of me here, man. You know what I mean? So he and I met in the hallway, and then he would come over to my cubicle, and then we just hit it off, man.
Great job. So Gordon, do you is the way he told the story, is that correct? You were muscular and bald and cool and hip?
I'm glad he thought so. Lord knows that I'm in my 20s. I was probably trying. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, great job.
but yeah. So that's what we met at Hallmark Cards. You know, like Derrick knows, like those jobs, they're like relatively hard to get. So like
Right.
I dropped off my portfolio in New York, and there were hundreds of portfolios just dropped off in New York City. Then they did a national search.
Right.
And that year they hired 2 illustrators, and one was me and another illustrator named Brian Gordon. And he's a pretty famous cartoonist. He does this thing called foul language comics now.
Wow.
And the crazy thing about that is, like, in general, they used to have this practice at Hallmark where almost everyone that I knew that was an African-American illustrator on the staff, like they would try to get you to go in through being a redesign artist, where you would go in and like physically paint on other people's artwork to make them other things. And I was living in New York. I was fresh out of school, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to move for that. And then they came back with an offer to make me, you know, to bring me on as an illustrator. But even at that, I had to start in this funky little program called the New Hire Artist Training Program.
Wow.
And all the years that I was there, I never met anyone who didn't look like me that hadn't been in that program.
Right, fantastic. Now, you guys first collaborated on Crown, Ode to the Fresh Cut. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and that equally, because, you know, my barber's right down the street from me. I can walk there, so I never get in the fresh cut. So how did you guys, who went to whom first? Did you have something in mind, or because of your friendship, you guys knew where you guys were going to be headed with the book?
Well, this was during a pretty slow period in my career. You know, really, you know, it was like maybe we moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, from Kansas City, Missouri, in 2014, and I hadn't had a book out since 2010. It was a middle grade novel called We Could Be Brothers. So, man, between 2011, 2017, there was nothing going on. There was tumbleweeds going through our living room.
Right.
But man, I was working a lot of part-time jobs and staying up late working on books that nobody wanted. You know, staying up to 2, 3, 4 o'clock working on books. I wrote like 30 books during that period. Picture books, chapter books, middle grade novels. It was crazy, man. Just continuing to work. But one day, and I think it was fall of 2016, I was on Facebook and I saw a sketch from another award-winning children's book illustrator named Don Tate. He put up a sketch of his son. It was a side profile of him when he came from the barbershop. And I thought it was a beautiful sketch.
Right.
I reached out to Don to ask if he wouldn't mind, you know, collaborating, maybe sketching like 15 or 20 of those. And I would write poems, essentially just about how much we care about and love our Black sons and nephews and grandsons, and how much we care about them and how amazing they look when they come from the barbershop. Because he was a paid artist at the time and he had real deadlines, he thought it was a great idea, but he was too busy to jump on it. So I continued to work on it, and I finished the poem in like maybe 2 hours, you know, and that's the whole text that, you know, fit inside the book. So I didn't have a book deal, didn't have an illustrator. Maybe like 2 weeks later, a friend of ours named Denise Milner, she's a New York Times bestselling author. She's probably most famous for doing Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, the Steve Harvey book.
Right.
Yeah. She landed a publishing imprint with a publishing company outside of Chicago called Agate. And they're most famous for doing cookbooks and autobiographies, not too many children's books, but they signed her on to do 4 books a year, just focus on Black children's books. And Black children's books were, you know, that she wanted to do were books that highlight the Black experience and not just have us as slaves or runaway slaves or just in the civil rights movement or just playing basketball, you know what I mean? Black children maybe being wizards or just slice of life books. So she asked me if I had anything. I was one of the first authors that she called, and I said, I got like 7 years worth of manuscripts stacked up. But I just finished a picture book called Crown. It's about how Black boys feel when they come from the barbershop. Sent it to her. A week later, we signed a deal. It was like probably one of one of the most modest deals I've ever signed. But at the time, I didn't have anything. So we signed the deal, and then we were looking for an illustrator. Again, they were a small imprint, so they didn't have a lot of money to give out. So I was asking illustrators who are actually working and getting a minimum of at least 5 figures, you know what I mean? But they didn't have that to give.
Right.
So at least 3 or 4 people turned me down. So I reached out to my man G, and Gordon, you can take it from there, man, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So my wife, like Derrick and I, we're lucky we got successful wives, right? His wife's a physician. My wife is in the corporate world.
As an artist, boy, that's important, boy.
She, so my wife was a marketing director at the time, right? But she had just been downsized, right?
Right.
And it was funny. It might have been like 2 nights before. She was like, "Well, it's your turn." I was like, "Well, dang, that's a big old hole to fill, ain't it? Like tomorrow, you know what I mean?" And so Derrick had called, and I was like, fine. So I had taken a couple teaching gigs. I was teaching some college classes, and I was working on trying to get some portrait commissions. And then Derrick called, and I told my wife, I said, "I'm going to go ahead and do this book." Right. And like Derrick said, it didn't pay a whole bunch, but I was like, the story's great. I know Derrick. Right. And the big deal was that I was in the same position that Derrick was, because I had probably done like 5 or 6 children's books before that, right?
Right.
But I was probably about 8 years in between books. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this book, and I'm just going to do my absolute best on it. And then hopefully that way it will be my business card. And I told her, I said, we won't be in this position where I won't be able to get work and you'll just be, toting the whole load. And it turned out to be so much more than that. The book just spoke to so many people, and it's great. It just, I don't know. I don't want to get all like choked up, but
no. I mean,
the experience and just the experience of it and everything. And I think what it did for both of our lives is really big.
Oh no, the awards, describe it. Coretta Scott King, Newbery, Illustrator Gold Medal Award, all of that. So that jumps you guys to being able to collaborate again on I Am Every Good Thing. And I want you guys to know that when I was asked to moderate, I said, okay, moderate. What does that mean? So I said, looked up the Latin for MOD, and that means measure and change. So I said, this is what we're going to do. There's no need for me to moderate. There's no debate between you and me and myself when it comes to your work. I am every good thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to continue our conversation. And the dialogue that we have, everybody who's listening and watching will hear the dialogue. And then at the end, we want everybody to reflect on all that's been going on that relates to how you guys came about to become with I Am Every Good Thing. We cool with that?
Sounds good.
Now, Derrick, I listened to a podcast that you were on, and this thing hit me like a brick. You mentioned how I Am Every Good Thing was gold on the cover, and that said that touched you immensely. And when I saw the cover, I won't tell you how I felt, what the gold meant, but I wanted to know if you or Gordon designed the title with having I Am Every Good Thing in gold.
That was all Gordon, man. That was all Gordon. Yeah, we went. We had a few options in regards to the cover, but the whole team felt really good about this image, which is Gabriel. This is Gordon's son.
Exactly.
And I think that the image embodies the whole message that I was trying to send. Like it doesn't matter where these Black boys come from. They can come from the suburbs, or they can come from the belly of the hood, man. They all have somebody that loves and cares about them and holds them up and have high expectations for them. Because I've worked everywhere, man. I've worked in the suburbs of Kansas City. I've worked in, juvenile detention centers. And I'm telling you, brilliance can be found everywhere, so I wanted to lift all those boys up. And I just thought this image of Gabe, we all thought that this was perfect. But the whole gold title and everything, that was all Gordon's idea, man.
Okay. So Gordon, why the gold?
From working at Hallmark, I remembered the gold foil process, right? And what I had actually wanted was gold type and like a gold foil border that was kind of stamped with some sort of like a like you see the patterns on Derrick's shirt right now. Everybody has seen it when he came up to speak. You know, if you have the speaker view,
Okay.
you know, and so like I wanted those patterns kind of stamped into the frame going around. But you know, the design goes through a team process, and I have to truly apologize for not remembering the designer's name. But if you go to my IG, I have a post where I talk about the cover and the design. And she was the one that chose that typeface. I was lucky enough to get it in gold. I will confess that I was working on a different title. I was working on a different cover, and that one was more in the middle of the book.
Right.
And Derrick was like, I think that should be the cover.
Oh yeah.
And so that's the way that we went.
Oh, and no, it's springboards. Go ahead.
And so so that's kind of how we ended up with the gold. I thought that things that are valuable, like when I finish something that I love, I like to see it in a frame. You know what I mean? And so in lieu of the frame, I think that the gold type is super, super nice. You know?
Oh yeah, that's exactly how it hit me. I said, okay, here we have this young boy right here, chilling out with his arm across, book bag, ready to go, and there you have it.
Real quick, like I had the chance yesterday to see it in a bookstore for the first time. So it was in a Books A Million, you know, and I actually faced it out, you know, just to see what it would look like around all the other books faced out. And it's like that foil and Gabe's stance, like they really stand out in the bright red. They really stand out in a sea of all the other books. And so I like that too, where like it really catches your eye. If it's usually out the corner of your eye, you're like, what's that? You know?
Exactly. It catches your eye, and you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I always face our books out, man. Every time I go in the bookstore, I feel insulted if my book's not out, you know, on display. You know,
so just as an aside, King of Kindergarten was faced out.
All right.
But I'm Every Good Thing was in the shelves, you know?
Yeah. No, we can't have that.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing about it. With you guys have merged your books with Crown, King of First Grade, and now I Am Every Good Thing. It's telling a story in and of itself of where we're at, especially in 2020, because with virtual learning, not being able to go to kindergarten, you know, so it's kind of strange. You know, that should be a rite of passage for parents to be able to cry as their child goes into school on that first day. That's being lost. And then with your brilliant and moving words of "and I am every good thing," did you intentionally have it to whereby you would start with the first well, I guess it's Gordon's picture painting of the little boy, because it takes you through a generational curve and then goes back. Am I right in my thought process? Because the first one, you have the little boy, and then it goes through ages, and then it comes back. Well, so it brings it full circle.
Yeah, well, you know, Gordon did an excellent job. You know, most of the time, the process is the publishing company gets the manuscript, and then they choose the illustrator. But because we've had so much success with Crown, obviously we were already teamed up, and I shot him the manuscript long before we even had a deal for it. I sent it to him, you know, via email, and he started working on it. You know what I mean? So you know, as far as the story, as far as the text goes, in a linear sense, I did want it to start off soft, and I wanted to think about my childhood in Kansas City, Missouri, when I mentioned the kid being as good as the moon over a field of brand new snow. That's one of my earliest memories, man. You know, waking up at 9, 10 o'clock after it's rained, looking out the window, after the snow, and seeing that smooth sheet of snow and the moon shining down on it. And I think that's a common experience, especially for Black boys that, that live in the Midwest. I mean, we're all over the country, so our childhood experiences are a lot different. Gordon is from Washington, D.C., so, his images of what it was like to be a boy at 7, 8, or 9 may be similar to mine. Well, I'm sure is very unique. So I was just trying to think of all the universal experiences that all children have, like a kid
Right.
that lives on the good side of the tracks. And I lived in the hood of Kansas City. We all were able to experience the snow. There was no difference between us. So I wanted to kind of tap into those kind of universal experiences, and then it's kind of build up as the boy got older, and I think Gordon captured that perfectly.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have, I mean, like I said, because for me as a performer, it has that feel of a spoken word. Because you're in the club, and I was snapping, I was doing my finger snaps as you read along. So I'm pretty sure that's where.
Too, man. I can see you in the spoken word club, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have
behind you.
my kungas are going, my cajon is going. So I understand that. Question. Now I guess everyone has their favorite lines from it, but if you indulge me, I'll read you mine.
Okay.
Because I think it encapsulates the whole thing. I am an explorer, planting a flag on every square foot of this planet where I belong. When you wrote that, what went through your mind?
I thought about all of our brothers and sisters, like you in Georgia. I thought about all of our brothers and sisters who were, so restricted in their movement and not being able to move about the city. All these images come to mind. My son goes to North Carolina A&T, and there, they have on the campus, they have a famous statue of, the young man who kind of started the whole Donner protest movement. And I think about that image. I think about there's an image in my mind of these young black people in a swimming pool, and the owner throwing acid inside the pool. I think about those images, like
right.
We were really restricted in our movements. And also, just a very unspoken, restriction in any major city in this country. We've all been taught, especially if you live on a certain side of town, that you shouldn't be caught over here, when the sun goes down, or, maybe the police officers may not be too kind to you over here. But,
exactly.
I wanted Black boys to have a feeling of freedom. Like you can go wherever you want to go, and not only just physically, but mentally. You can obtain any education that you want, any kind of training, skill that you want, and you can travel this planet far and wide, and not just in your city, not just in America, but you can go every single where, and you can become anything. There are no restrictions.
Exactly. So, Gordon, do you have?
Can I piggyback on that one too? Because growing up in Maryland, where I grew up, right? Like my neighborhood was really mixed, and it is a pretty nice place to grow up, And like I always felt like, because of where I grew up and who I grew up around, that I can go to this thing, and if oh, you want to take me to brunch at the country club because your parents are going, because my parents were not paying for that, But yeah, like I'm like, sure, I'll go, and then like where I went to high school and middle school, it was like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna be at the school late, or we're gonna go to over to this dude's house to this party, right. And at that point I was just like, I felt like you feel that, when you're in those multiracial spaces or in those mostly white spaces, sometimes you feel like your skin is in it's a barrier. But I'm like, I live here. I have every single right to be here. And then when you go places with people that look like you, maybe like if you're in my case, maybe that aren't like your neighborhood, all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, this skin is also a passport. You know what I mean? Right. Like all those places that some of my friends are like, why are you going there? I'm like, because I can go here. You know what I mean? And I feel like I wanted people to feel like these kids to feel like Derrick said, like they're entitled. I volunteered at a church with a Boy Scout troop because I'm an Eagle Scout. And so this is when I was in Kansas City, and I had a student
Quit bragging. Quit bragging.
Oh well. But I, I have I just remember the Scouts before all the controversy.
Okay.
You know?
Exactly. Right.
And so I just remember having one of the boys that I was working with tell me, well, we don't really mess with downtown. And I don't know if Derrick has, but this is a quote. Now, Derrick's experience might be different, but this young brother told me, we don't mess with downtown. He was like, we got this side of the city, the Mexicans got that side of the city, and white people got the middle, and that's just the way it is. And living here, I had a grown man tell me, man, I don't really go downtown. Downtown's not for us. And I was like, what are you talking about? You don't walk, you don't drink coffee? And so like when I read that line in the book, I just started thinking about all the different ways that I could picture Black boys enjoying life. Because I don't think that, like I could understand why if you're an older guy, you might have had that experience, right? But it made me sad to see a kid, I was in my 20s and this kid was like 12, feeling like there are just certain places in the city where he grew up, where he has a job, he pays taxes that he just shouldn't be, and so that line really moved me in that matter, from being someplace where people are trying to keep you out of spaces and then seeing other people who have been kept out of places and they've internalized those limitations. And I'm glad that Derrick wrote a line that helps to expand what people feel they can do.
Right. Do either one of you want to get the book and show me, I don't know if you want to call it your favorite illustration or favorite parts in the book? Either one of you want to take that? So
well,
do you have the book?
I can show you my favorite illustration is right behind me.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Derrick, and I guess Derrick might want to find his favorite
Okay.
line. It's really weird that my favorite line and my favorite illustration are not on the same page. So my favorite line is Derrick can probably remember it better than me, but it is the center of the cinnamon roll line. I think that line is awesome. And this is my favorite illustration. And it's the one where, they're all at the pool. I'm trying to get the angle on it right. But the reason why I like this illustration so much is it shows Black boys really like living their fullest life in a space that is problematic for us, which is the swimming pool, for the reasons that Derrick.
Exactly.
There were times when, Black kids still are more likely to drown than white kids.
Yeah.
My daughter was on a swim team here, an African-American swim team called the Queen City Dolphins. And, while they turn out serious world-class swimmers, they also have a mission just to teach kids to swim. That way they won't die. It's just a big deal. And that's one of those things that, that we as a people have to still deal with from, since segregation. So like, I just wanted to show them living their fullest life. I wanted to show just a whole bunch of joy. And I even put a kid that was a little older in floaties because I know that some of us don't learn how to swim until we're a little older. And if you're that kid, I didn't want you to feel bad. So I wanted to show that also.
Oh, no, my older brother threw me in the pool. And like to say, sink or swim.
Yeah.
So, Derrick.
Yeah.
Do you have the book with you?
Yes.
If you don't mind, would you read your words from that page of the pool?
Sure.
All right.
I was gonna read the whole book, man, if we had enough time to
Oh
do
yeah, you have time. That's fine.
Well, yeah.
You want to start from the whole book if you want? Do you want to go start with the whole book? That's fine.
Sure. I know what the format was. Usually I would read. I don't know if Gordon has his materials. I don't want to put him on the spot. If you do?
Yeah.
Do you have all the material? Okay.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Can we go there now?
We do kind of like they do sometimes in the spoken word clubs. When you read the poetry, then there's a brother behind you doing the whole sketch. Gordon and I do that sometimes. And
well, that's the segue I was trying to get to, so we can do that. That works for me.
Baby. Yes, yeah. I don't mind. I would love to read it.
All right.
All right. I Am Every Good Thing. Written by Derrick Barnes and illustrated by Gordon C. James. I dedicated this book to the memory of 7 young Black men who were unarmed They were teenagers. Most of them, 6 out of 7 of them were teenagers, and they were all murdered by adults. Many of them police officers, and are adults who just felt like that black boy did not belong there. So I dedicate this book to Shamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, E.J. Bradford, Jordan Edwards, Michael Brown, Jordan Davis, and Julian Mallory. Gordon dedicated the book to his son, Gabriel, and all little brothers like him. I am a nonstop ball of energy, powerful and full of life. I'm a go-getter, a difference maker, a leader. I am every good thing that makes the world go round. You know, like gravity or the glow of moonbeams over a field of brand new snow. I am good to the core, like the center of a cinnamon roll. Yeah, that good. I am skateboard tricks, scraped knees and elbows. But you know what? I am right back on my feet again. I am one eye open, one eye closed, peeking through a microscope, gazing through a telescope, checking out the spaces around me and plotting out those far off places I have yet to go, but will. I am a gentleman and a scholar. I am kind and polite, like yes ma'am and yes sir, helping my grandmother to cross the street and saying bless you when a stranger has to sneeze. I'm a cool breeze, a perfect paper airplane that glides for blocks, for miles, forever. I am a roaring flame of creativity. I'm a lightning round of questions in a star-filled sky of solutions. I'm an explorer planting a flag on every square foot of this planet where I belong. I'm a sponge soaking up information, knowledge, and wisdom. I want it all, and I am all ears. I'm Saturday mornings in the summertime. I am 2 bounces and a front flip off the diving board. I am hilarious. I am the life of the party. I am that smile forming on your face right now. I'm the boom, bap, boom, boom, bap. When the bass line thumps and the kick drum jumps, I'm the perfect beat and the perfect rhyme, keeping everything on point and always on time. But you already knew that. I'm a grand slam, bases fully loaded. I'm a nasty 2-handed dunk, holding on to the rim, just to remind you that I'm still the man. Believe that. I am the undisputed champion. I am a highlight reel of magnificence. I am the celebration, the applause, and the standing ovation. I am victory. I am a brother, a son, a nephew, a favorite cousin, a grandson. I am a friend. I am real. I am tight hugs and a hand to hold, a shoulder to cry on if you have to. I hope you never have to. I am here. Although I am something like a superhero, every now and then I am afraid. I'm not what they might call me, and I will not answer to any name that is not my own. I am what I say I am. I'm that sound in the forest when the mighty tree falls. I'm waves crashing gently on the shore. I'm a force of nature, a miracle, a blessing. I am brave. I am hope. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. I am worthy of success, of respect, of safety, of kindness, of happiness. And without a shadow of a doubt, I am worthy to be loved. I am worthy to be loved.
Should we do finger snaps now?
Thank you.
You know what? Gentlemen, how about let's do this? We all know about the talk, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we state it today on September 5th, 2020, that parents take I Am Every Good Thing, read it to their child before they do the talk. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
We are literally in a book that is a compilation called The Talk together.
I don't have a copy on it, but it came out a month ago.
Okay.
Edited by Cheryl and Wade Hudson, who are a dynamic veteran duo. They've been in this industry for forever. They are like they're like the godparents for a lot of Black and brown award-winning illustrators and authors. And you know, whenever they call, we all come and gather at their feet. And this book came out last month, and it's called The Talk, and it's just a compilation of artists and writers. Maybe it's a poem, maybe it's a short story. And
Right.
Gordon and I, we contributed one of the short stories in there, and he has these beautiful sketches, and it's essentially a conversation between a father and son. And the son has experienced some racism at school, and he's telling his father how he's gonna respond to the situation.
So why didn't you guys drive down 85 to come to Decatur and talk with me? Since I brought it up in hindsight, because needless to say, I was wondering when the talk was going to come out in a children's book, and then lo and behold, here we are, which may be sad, maybe needed, or hopefully, like they say, we won't need to worry about the talk anymore, or 10 and 2. You know, we don't want to have to worry about 10 and 2, et cetera, et cetera. But that's why I Am Every Good Thing.
You know, I like when he was talking about the talk, and then when you were talking about 10 and 2, right? You know, my father is a police officer, you know, and you know, so people, what am I trying to say? Like, people hear folks that are upset about what's going on with police departments and what this violence, and they think, oh, well, you don't like the police. Well, I was raised by cops, firemen, teachers. You know, my mom's a teacher. Yeah. And I was like, so you can't tell me. And I also had a father that worked internal affairs. So I got to see, you know, when those dudes fall, right, you know? Yeah. And so like, you know, I think what we need to realize is that, you know, we just can't deify these people. They're human beings, and they need to be responsible for their behavior just like anything else. And what I hope with a book like I'm Every Good Thing, to bring it back to the topic, is like, you know, Derrick always talks about humanizing our boys, right? Like, half the book is just showing our boys doing what kids do, having the same kind of fun, enjoying the same kind of things. Right. Because what happens sometimes is, you know, I can tell you from my experience growing up, you will meet people and you will come into their home and they will be perfectly nice to you. And then you will hear later about something terribly racist that they said about another Black person, but they love you. Right. And I came to the conclusion a long time ago, if you don't like my people, you can't like me. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? Because I'm not different. You know, it's like, So I feel like this book, though, hopefully will not only be something that lifts up our boys, it should educate the general public about who they are, because there are just so many stereotypes and I don't know, in misconceptions about who they are, and what they really are is like your kids.
Exactly. Yeah, because
Sometimes even a little. Sometimes also because when we grow up, we know a lot of the things that we can't do. So that
Right.
often when people think, oh, those black kids are rowdy, that's not how I grew up. My dad was like, hey, when you're with your friends and they start doing dumb stuff, you got to go, because what is a prank for them is a crime for you.
Right.
He was like, you call me, you get out the car, I don't care where you are, because it's not going to work out the same for you as it will for the rest of them. And this is a guy who's in law enforcement. Yeah. So this stuff is very, very real.
Yeah, I kind of lose sight of that sometimes. It's 2020, and I still feel like there's a significant dearth in books that really show the full spectrum of what it means to be a Black child in America. I mean, we've done a lot better in this industry over the past 10, 15 years, but sometimes I lose sight of that because I still feel like I want to fill in those gaps and write those stories. But I have to remind myself that a book like this is not just for Black boys, but it is for white America, really, as well. Just like what Gordon was saying, the fact that you can see our sons doing the exact same thing that your sons would do. I have a 16-year-old. He just turned 16 2 days ago. He's one of the best football players in the city. So we kind of hoping for some college money, pretty soon. And he was training yesterday. I took him to his training, and I was talking to one of the dads. We were in the rooms where you can see all the athletes working out, and he has a daughter that plays soccer. And he was like, "Which one is your son?" I said, "It's him." And Solo just had a huge growth spurt. He went from 5'11" to 6'2". He's a cornerback. And he looked at Solo and he looked back at me and he said, "He looks like a grown man." And I can tell you, I want to smack the snot out of this man. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way they see our children. This is my youngest son, Dingo. That's the way they see our children.
Hello, model.
Yeah, he's on the cover of the King of Kindergarten.
Exactly, yeah.
But I was trying to explain to Solo that the Black boys are viewed as being older as soon as they turn 10. And my boy is 16. And I've been around enough teenage Black boys where I can look at one from a distance and know that that's not a man, but in his eyes, he looks like a grown man. And that's the way you'll be viewed out in the general public. And so we had to start these conversations early, with our sons, the way you're going to be perceived by people who may or may not have any young Black boys in their immediate circle. They only can go by what they see in pop culture, stereotypes. And so I feel like our jobs as children's book, creators is to counter as many of these negative images that we find. One day we won't have to write a book full of affirmations for Black boys, you know what I mean? But as long as we do, as long as the world is the way that it is, and hopefully things are changing when we get out of this pandemic, God willing, things will be a lot different socially. And I'm very optimistic about that. So hopefully we've contributed, to that with the offering of the book.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, conversation, the dialogue, and then everybody reflect. Because, from where I come from, play, we have to get back to allowing children to play. Whether or not that's being the star quarterback, that's still part of play. Swimming, playing marbles, hula hoop, jacks, Lincoln Logs. You can tell I'm giving my age, et cetera, but allow your kids to play, and then you allow kids to play with each other, to learn from each other.
Yeah, I think that if you like this is getting really political, but I really feel like that's some of the reasons why people don't want, don't bust my kid. Like, part of it is, they have all these misconceptions. They think if I send my kid to this school, they won't be safe, right? But the other part of it is like, if I send my kid to this school, they won't harbor these same backwards views that I have, right? Because like the easiest way to learn about someone is to just spend time with them,
Exactly.
like, and I feel like people try to when we keep ourselves separate, that you never learn about other people, and then when you don't know about them, you become fearful of them, and I just so that is why I just feel like part of that whole thing about our kids belonging everywhere, because like I think it will get rid of the fear, what I mean?
I don't want to throw myself in the mix of this, but we three come from different areas of our beloved United States of America. Charleston, South Carolina is home, but my middle name is Gomez. I was born in Texas, right near the Rio Grande, Brownsville, Texas, back to Charleston, Denver, San Bernardino, New York. Now I'm here in Decatur. And then you guys, Midwest, and then you up in Baltimore area. We have basically the same experiences growing up, and that's what we want for our children. And so I want to say thank you to you guys. And I guess we could want to take a few questions. We could take some questions. If you guys have anything to end before we have any questions, Derrick, do you have anything to? And are you guys working on something together besides the input that you had for the talk book?
We signed a deal with Kwame Alexander's imprint.
Oh, perfect.
Versify, and we have a graphic novel coming out. It may be a graphic novel, but it's entitled. The tentative title is "Do It for the People," and it's about Black athletes in American history who were famous and maybe not so famous for protesting, racial injustice. So we have that coming out, and
we have a couple of Olympians that live here in Georgia who have the raised fist. So
I have a graphic novel coming out with Tommy Smith next year. Yeah, we have a book that we worked on. I was down there in Stone Mountain. I hung out with him and his wife. They made dinner for me, and I sat down in his man cave and took notes all day, and it took me like maybe 4 months to write that book, man. So that one will be out next year. It's called Victory Stand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mel Pender lives here in Georgia as well. So and he was on the same team. He was on that same team, and he still holds the 50-yard record.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to know what's nuts? My dad grew up with John Carlos, and he literally. My dad called me last night. He was like, "Hey man, John called me He called me just an hour ago. He's super excited about what you did." I was like, "Get the heck out of here!" It's like that's a tiny world. You know what I mean? Yeah. That my dad be telling me those stories growing up. Then Derrick's working on a book, with Tommy Smith sitting at his house, and then you tell me that this other gentleman is living where you are, and what are the odds?
But that's once again where we belong. We from day one we have been a part of history of United States of America, and we love it. And I think having seen your artwork in the sports entity, because I'm a marathoner, so I'm in the sports, and I know you guys up there with that other NFL football team, but the only good thing about Charlotte is sometimes we just used to say Carowinds, but we got the Falcons. We have the Falcons.
Well, I'm a Chiefs fan, man. So we waited 50 years to finally win the championship. So I don't know anything about the Falcons, man. But
oh no, you're in my house. Don't do that.
Hey, I can have that football.
Look, that ring, man.
I was like a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, like diehard, despite all the losing, just diehard, right? And then like when all the Kaepernick stuff hit, and like Jerry Jones seemed to be the worst owner, like this side of the old owner that's here in Charlotte, I was just like, I don't think I can give this man any more of my money or time. And I have not been able to go back. It's just gone. I don't know.
But that's why, yeah, I was never, my brother played football. I was always in the band, et cetera, ran track. I wrestled, if you want to call it wrestling now, being 95 pounds in high school, you're into wrestling. You tend to wrestle because you're the smallest person there. But baseball, I would love to see you guys work on something about Negro Baseball League as well. I think that would be fantastic.
I did a book called The Home
I'm putting it out there.
I did a book called The Home Run King with Patricia McKissack.
Okay.
And it is the story of a young man's two young boys' interaction with Josh Gibson. And if you look at I'm Every Good Thing, there is a shout out to Kurt Flood in the book. If you notice the kid wearing the red jersey, the red and white jersey with the number 21. That's my.
So you threw that in there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So there are also other.
I love Satchel Paige. I love Satchel Paige. So
I have a baseball book that came out in March called Who Got Game Baseball, where I highlight Satchel Paige. Played for the Kansas City Monarchs, obviously. So yeah, you gotta check that out. It's called Who Got Game Baseball. Came out in March.
I'm mad that I don't have it. It used to be sitting right here.
Oh man,
I should be able to pick it back up, but it must be on the shelf now.
Do you guys have any so do you have those books? Do you guys have any other books that you guys recommend on the same connective content?
Well, we're all, so we're both working on our own individual projects,
Right.
Gordon is probably finishing up some right now. I'm working on 2 or 3 projects. So, we have a lot of things in the pipeline. I'm trying to eventually transition into, animation, film, hopefully, television. Right. And,
exactly.
Like I said, but when we come together to do books like Crown and I'm Every Good Thing, we have high expectations. And because, both of us are extremely competitive, and we are passionate about what we do. So we have high expectations for, the projects that we both are working on. But we both are trying to, continue to make a name for ourselves in our own individual right. So I cheer him on, from afar whenever he has a book coming out. I feel like he does the same for me. It's just like New Edition, man. When they come together. But Bobby Brown has his own album. Johnny Gill has. I'm not gonna say who's Bobby Brown. You know what I mean? But
right. Yeah. So do you guys have? So what's I mean, it goes without saying. Thank you guys for being a part of the Decatur Book Festival. We tend to think that we're one of the best. It's been well run for the 15 years that I've been involved in it. So do you guys have something coming up besides this that you guys are going to be involved in? Virtually or not?
I think Derrick had mentioned the project with the project on Versify. We're going
festival-wise. Any more festival that you guys want to talk about?
Oh yeah, we are doing the Boston Book Festival.
Okay.
And we are doing the Drew Barrymore show next Tuesday.
Oh, so that's her new show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll be one of the first guests on the show. So
yeah, perfect.
Oh, and Crown is on Netflix.
Yes.
So what? So is it celebrating Black voices? I want to make sure I get the name of the
Bookmarks.
So say it again.
So Bookmarks.
Say it again.
It's called Bookmarks, and it's on Netflix, where they celebrate 12 Black children's books, and Crown is one of the books that they have a celebrity to read the book. And what's the young man's name?
Caleb McLaughlin.
Yes, he's reading Crown. So
Stranger Things.
As soon as this is over, everybody go to Netflix, check out Bookmarks, and please view Crown. And Ode to the Fresh Cut.
There's a lot of great books on there, and I want to send a shout out to our friend Shane W. Evans, who illustrated We March, because he was the guy that got me into children's books, because he introduced me to Our Agent, and then I introduced Derrick to Our Agent, which Derrick always tells that story. I don't even remember it, but so if there's like Shane, he may not know, but he's got a little tree, and it's neat to see us in the same place, So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So this, speaking of shout out to Regina Brooks, who is our agent. Yeah. Shout out to Denise Milner. the president and owner of Denise Milner Books. She was the publisher of Crown, and I had a very unique experience working with her. It was the first time I worked with a editor that I didn't feel like I had to explain the whole Black experience with, because she actually understood, and just a brilliant woman. So shout out to her, and yeah, shout out to you know, Shane as well, man. There's a lot of talented artists that came from that Hallmark tree, and we were two of them. So
yeah.
Seemed like things turned out.
That's why, yeah, because that's what I want to say. Everyone who is listening and viewing this, go to DecaturFestival.com. Keep this ball rolling. There's a donate button, because what you're hearing right now is talent and knowledge that needs to be put out there in the most creative way that sometimes not necessarily get swept under the rug. But these two men have been getting up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to give us something to value and to appreciate. And this is part of that voices that should be heard within this time in the past, time in the future. Because I always like to say, if anybody has a DeLorean, we all want to get back into it and go back to the future, but back to the future with voices like, I am every good thing. So if you two have,
Jerry, somebody had asked, what is your favorite color? And I don't know if that's directed to me, but I do have a favorite color. And it's actually like this color right here, which is kind of like this hot pink, and you'll see it here, you'll see it in here. Like, that's my favorite color. Like I tend to wear black, white, denim, gray. My favorite color, it's like this warm, hot pink. And I was gonna call
I could see the fuchsia in
it's
most
a lot of illustrations. And I always like it with the acid green.
Oh yeah.
Guess, you know, I'm married to an AKA, so that really works out.
Oh,
you know, so like,
well, they're probably doing a lot of talking AKA wise right now, if you know what I mean.
That's right.
They got bigger things to talk about right now with Kamala Harris, right? Like,
yes, exactly. Exactly. So if you guys have anything you want to say finally, I want to say thank you. Gordon, I look forward to meeting you in person. Derrick, you know, my stage captioning days of the festival, so it was great to see you. So I knew this was going to be fun. I knew it was going to be easy, and I knew it was going to be enlightening, and you guys didn't disappoint me, and I'm pretty sure you didn't disappoint anyone who's watching as well. So if you guys have any final things, I want to thank you. Look forward to your work. If you guys want to promote the Netflix again or any other books you have in the next 2 minutes that you have, feel free.
Yeah, everybody just check out Crown and Ode to the Fresh Cut on Bookmarks. It's called Bookmarks, and it's on Netflix. I'm Every Good Thing, available everywhere books are sold. You can find me at author Derrick D. Barnes on Instagram, and my website is Derrick D. Barnes.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I want to tell you my website is GordonCJames.com. My Instagram is Gordon C. James Fine Art. And my Twitter is Gordon C. James Art, and I'd love to connect with people.
Thank you, guys. And I thank you. And I'm sure that you guys want to give a little shout out to Little Shop of Stories here in Decatur with Diane Capriole and her team.
Little Shop of Stories. Next year when we go, Gordon, you had to check out Little Shop of Stories. A beautiful store. It's just a nice festival, man. It was my first time last year, so next year we'll be back, everybody.
Right,
yeah, and the food is good in Decatur too. So come hungry. Come hungry.
That's right.
All right, thank you guys. So Gordon, do you have one more painting or illustration that you want to show us?
Oh well, I can show you from the book. I'm always like, you know, I'm always looking for the original for the.
Oh, that's fine.
Painting. But
that's fine.
But I think another one that I really like is, let me see if I can find it very quickly. You know, I don't have this book all the way memorized yet. Like you live with them long enough. But I love this one here on the left side, and and part of it is because this family came to see Derrick and I at a reading. And they've ended up being like members of this family have probably been in 3 of the books that I've done so far. And what I love about this, it reminds me of growing up, because Derrick says, you know, I'm a nasty 2-handed dunk. And I just remember being a kid when your dad will hold you up. And like, that's how it feels in your mind. Your father is doing all the work. But in your mind, you are dunking that ball.
You're up there.
And so
you're skying.
I just remember that, you know, and I was telling Derrick there, I thought for the longest that my parents had bought me a tiny police officer uniform. And then maybe 3 years ago, I saw the picture. I was wearing a blue t-shirt with my dad's heavy badge hanging off the shirt like this, and his tie clipped to the neck. And I had his hat on all big. And I was like, all these years, I thought I had my own uniform. And I was like, that's how it is to be a kid. You know what I mean? Like those experiences, those things you do, they become so real in your mind. And so like, I got a chance to hopefully.
Well, you have in your book, there is a little boy in there with a police uniform on. You know that, right?
This one?
Right. Is it with the blue? Am I right?
I don't believe so.
Was that in Crown? I remember seeing one with a little boy in a blue uniform.
I'm not sure about that. But I just do remember that experience, you know, that experience of imagination where your parents help you do those things that you're not able to do yet, you know?
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Jack. Derrick, thank you for your words. Gordon, thank you for your illustration. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for the 15th Annual AJC Decatur Book Festival presented by Emory University. Look for events from today on till October 4th. And as the story goes, we will see you guys in person next year. Thank you. Stay safe. Peace out.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Be safe.
Thank you.